Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Austin here, bringing you yet another StarCraft 2 match. This time it is from the GSL Round of 16, Group D, Match 3, Set 2. I just had to remember all that because I was remembering it from the best games / VODs of HOTS thread on Team Liquid, which I use as a reference to actually know which game to cast. So I think I just mentioned it, but I am having short-term memory loss. This game is taking place on merry-go-round, or merry-go-round, as Rotterdam calls it. He really emphasizes the go. And it will be contested between our red Protoss player, herO, playing for Team CJ Entis. This is not Liquid herO. There used to be 3 herOs in StarCraft, all spelled differently, and now there's 2. Because the all lowercase herO, the Zerg, retired a few years ago. He was a Kespa player. So it's taking place between our red Protoss herO, at the bottom of the map, up against our yellow Terran Maru. He plays for Team Jin Air Green Wings. He played for Prime for quite a while, and he is my age, maybe even a little bit younger, maybe a bit older. I don't remember his exact month of birth, but we are the same age as present. And Maru is our yellow Terran. As I said, he is somewhat of a celebrity in terms of, obviously, StarCraft and his age and his phenomenal ability, but also my channel's resurgence, because he's been in, what is it, I think it's 3 games, maybe 2 games, at least this is his second match in the 3 or 4 I've casted so far since coming back. But could be his third, I don't remember quite honestly. The reason I'm so vague to begin this commentary is because I've just finished exams. I had 3 finals, and so my memory is a little bit scrambled right now because I just yesterday finished what was a very long and arduous journey. And so I have finally reached a point where I can cast regularly and cast free of any sort of stress. So this should be a good game, but bear with me these first few minutes as I try to remember who I am and what this game is and what these races are. I think this is the first TvP. Again, I could be totally wrong. All of the 3 games before this could have been TvPs for all I know. But I believe in the channel's resurgence in the past few weeks, this is the first TvP. And I'm happy to bring it to you because I played a TvP just before starting this cast, and it was a cool one. I was not expecting it when I was on a bit of a losing streak. Don't forget, I'm still warming back up my play. I'm not exactly the best player. And I was able to get a good death ball going, able to keep my macro up, do some nice War Prism harasses with some charge lots, and I managed to take the game using some good storms. I was happy. I also threw in some DTs as well late in the game, just as a disruption tactic, because in the lower leagues that tends to work well. Players are not good at macroing enough that they can drop scans, even especially Terrans. So we'll see if the outcome of my game is mirrored by the outcome of this game, as herO will look to challenge Maru. Shout out to Blizzard for this replay pack, as they released a huge zip archive of pretty much every game that's been played so far in 2015. There's the SSL replays, the overseas WSS replays, so I think Europe and America, and then there's also the GSL, so it's an all-in-one. I'm looking at the best VODs thread, and I am just swooping in like a carrion bird and picking up replays to cast for you guys. And so this looks fairly standard so far. We do have an early Widow Mine out of Maru and a Starport. I was ready to say Stargate. You can tell I've lost it. As well as a fast expand out of herO. This is not unusual for a Protoss player if he feels comfortable enough in his ability to secure it. I think he is aware that Maru is not necessarily going all too aggressive on him. There are a handful of Marines here in a Widow Mine for defensive purposes, but nothing excessive. A Hellion will cause a good degree of disruption to herO, because I'm not quite sure if he's suspecting it or not. But, you know, he has absolutely no vision of his opponent's base. So, that could do some damage for sure. Maybe it'll even be a Hellion Widow Mine drop, because he is getting a very early medevac. That would be quite a sight to see. And it indeed will be. So, I'm not sure how our herO will deal with this. He only has a couple of Stalkers, and he has a third on the way, but no Warp Gate tech quite yet. And the Marines just sniping. I think he had another probe there. We'll check our workers killed. Yes, indeed, another probe. And they will be moving out as a diversionary tactic. Is Maru aware of the expand? Yes, he is. So let's just see how this goes. Sorry for messing things up. I'm forgetting my hotkeys as a caster. We'll see how this little 2-pronged attack goes. There are 5 Marines and 1 SCV, maybe trying to get a proxy bunker. Well, not a proxy bunker, but a bunker. And now here is that medevac coming in with the Widow Mine. herO desperately moving his workers, but the Hellions, 2 of them in total, are frying these workers, and herO's resources are split in half. But can he snipe the medevac? If he can snipe that medevac, that is huge in terms of resources, but it gets out. 3 health left. The Observer, thankfully for herO, brings that crisis to an end fairly quickly, as it was able to spot the Widow Mine for the Photon Overcharge to take out. But wow, that is crazy. 3 health. If that medevac died, then we'd be looking at a very different resource loss count. 400, 400, it's dead even, but imagine how much this would have been worth, especially considering I think it was carrying, both Hellions were in there. So that would easily add at least a few hundred to that tab. But well played out of Maru. He sniped 8 workers in total, so 6 in that engage if I'm not mistaken. I know he had 2 before it. And so that is a good trade-off for him. herO's probably a little bit shaken up, thinking to himself, oh gee, what's next? Is he going all out cheese/harass? Or is he just going to macro off of this? Like I said in my previous casts, Korean players tend to do crazy things like that. Brilliant harass strategies and then macro right out of it. They don't rely single-handedly on it. Mind you, some players go all out with it. I forget who the player in really early in the days of StarCraft was, but I'll have to talk about this after, as there's yet another drop. Here goes the Widow Mine, burying into the ground, and now this time there's a small force of Marines, but only 1 probe is killed by the shot of that Widow Mine. The Observer's right there, and it looks like this might actually go in herO's favor, because he'll probably snipe the medevac. He's not going to drop a Photon Overcharge, even though he does have the energy for it, and that medevac will again get away, but I think that was a much better trade for herO. He's saying, look, I'm ready for you. I've got Observers all around my bases. I've got Stalkers at the ready. I have my Mothership Core if need be, and nice job out of herO there, just kind of bringing the resources lost dead even. But this should be interesting as... okay, there we go. It's Control-Shift. See, I'm still in the hotkeys. This should be interesting as there's yet another drop coming. There are 5 Marines in total and 1 Widow Mine. There's Blink being researched and a Robo Bay out of herO, where some fairly standard bio is being procured by Maru, as well as an Engineering Bay and Stim. There's just a single Marine being dropped in, possibly as something of a diversion. And he will promptly be dealt with as I drink my water. I'm not sure whether or not you heard that, but this mic is fairly clear. Just a little bit of a skirmish there, nothing excessive. I'm just watching this medevac with something of an attentive mindset, because it will probably deal quite a bit of damage to herO. He's getting a Colossus out, he's getting his extended thermal lances, and he's also getting a reactor on his starport. And now the Stalkers are going to come in here and try to deal with this medevac of Maru, which they will do. The Observer's right there. It's going to deal quite well with that Widow Mine, which will get a shot off at a probe that ran right into it on purpose. The other medevac there just being promptly repelled, and herO is looking very good so far. Maru is macroing off of this, of course. He has plenty of workers behind him. He is behind in Harvesters, but he's still got those mules that everybody's going on about in terms of their efficiency. And his forces are not necessarily that bad. He's got a decent amount of bio, just a little clump here. Nothing that could totally dismantle herO, but he's keeping herO on his toes. And as I was saying way back before, I can't quite remember the player's name. I could see his face in that little avatar on the Team Liquipedia, but I couldn't quite tell you who it is. But he used to always go for all-ins, and Artosis would say his name in a really funny way. If you guys remember his name, just comment. I'll be able to probably write in the description who it was. It's just on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, back into our game. There's a blink forward. Very smart out of herO to get that blink tech. It just gives him a lot more mobility. He's a lot better off in terms of how he can deal with the highly, usually multi-pronged drop attacks of Maru. And it doesn't cost all that much. To my knowledge, it's 150, 150. Even if it was more, it would still be worth it. But now here's a significant bio push being thought about from Maru. He's getting another starport, 2 Vikings on the way, and the standard combat shields, weapons level 1. ETLs are now finishing for herO, those extended thermal lances for the Colossi, and he is getting charge. I think if he can get charge and that ground weapons level 1 before the fight, he will be able to win it no problem, because I find charge is essential for disrupting bio, forcing the Terran to really micro much better than he normally would. I mean, obviously we have Colossi involved, so he has to micro well enough already, but those charge lots really cause your units to focus on the charge lots and not the Colossi. So if he can chrono out that charge, I don't think he'll get it in time personally. I think that would be completely game changing in terms of the battle. But if we look at our armies, I think it's fairly even. 13 Stalkers, 3 Colossi, and 4 Zealots. But if they became charge lots, I'm telling you, it would be completely game-changing. There is a Templar Archives being built. My apologies there. I'll quickly go back. I think it was completed somewhere. Yes, okay. Now we'll promptly go back to our army here. There is a Templar Archives done, and that is armor level 2, so he's already at 1-1, and he's going for the armor next. Charge will finish in time for this next engage. There's a single Marine running in just to scout. I don't think he was quite able to see that there is a Templar aircraft. No, and that could be very handy for herO in terms of having that little tactical advantage, because I find that's what I managed to take advantage of in my PvT, is that I already thought about that transition to Templar tech as soon as I knew my opponent had scouted the Colossi. Yes, you get the Colossi. They are perhaps the strongest unit in PvT. However, you need to get the Templar tech as well, because even if you have a significant number of Blink Stalkers, it's very hard to focus the Vikings at times. They have a nice long range. Here's a little skirmish here. Prompt blink out of herO. He hasn't lost any units, but they are weakened. But those zealots are now charged lots. He's going to go straight for an Archon, which I'm not sure is the brightest idea, because now Maru is going to know he has Templars, and he is probably going to get Ghosts if he is going to play that standard Terran reactive style. There are the Stalkers coming in again, just taking shields damage. A premature Photon Overcharge on the third Nexus out of herO. I think that was just a waste of energy, and that could totally disrupt the means by which he will try to win this battle. But here we go. SCVs are joining the engagement. The Stalkers blink back, and the Bio is promptly taking care of this third Nexus. The Time Warp goes down, the Guardian Shield goes up, but the Vikings are absolutely decimating the Colossi of herO. He is blinking forward. He does have those charge lots doing what I said they would do, disrupting his opponent, but the concussive shells are making a difference here. They're slowing the charge lots advance after that charge initially triggers. And here is the one Immortal taking some damage. It will promptly fall. The Archon goes with it, and it looks like the Bio is going to advance. The Vikings have landed very bright out of Maru because he killed all of the Colossi. There's 3 charge lots, there's 1 Archon, and a handful of Stalkers. I do not think that's enough out of herO, but he knows if he's able to win this battle that his opponent's only on 2 bases, so he has to be chronoing this Colossus out of his mind to try to get it out in time, and he has to be very, very careful with how he handles these Blink Stalkers, because this could be totally game-changing. Maru lost a good deal of workers. That brings the workers killed count almost even. It actually brings in the favor of herO. There's a couple of decent force fields, but not good enough to restrict those Marauders from getting their shells off. And a lot of Zealots are being picked off by the long range of the Marauders. Here's an Immortal being caught on the edge here, and the Colossus is going to use the high ground to its advantage, but the Vikings have returned to the air. My god, I am going to pass out because this battle is so prolonged. The third has been killed, and the workers at it along with it. But now herO has to figure, we're both on 2 bases. I'm not that behind, unless he's thinking Maru's somehow getting a third. That was dead even. I think Maru could have closed it out by taking his medevacs and dropping his forces in the main, but I'm not sure if he would be willing to risk it. He knows he's up against Blink, could be a Photon Cannon or 2, so smart play out of Maru. I'm not sure if he's in the best position right now, though. He's at 29 Harvesters, so I think on the back of this, if herO just patiently manages to grab another third, which he's promptly doing, and gets the Psionic Storm out with some high energy Templars, he should be able to close this game out. I think. I am not going to bet against Maru. I have seen his prowess at StarCraft 2 firsthand many times in live streams and in my own VOD casts. However, it's looking good for herO. Even though this Bio Ball is menacing, if he can but hang on, he will win the game. Maru, I do not believe, has any intention to grab a third base. Actually, I thought that was a command center, and I was literally just going to curl up into a ball and shame myself for the rest of my life, or feel ashamed of myself for the rest of my life, because I thought, okay, he's not getting a third, and then if there was a third right away, you know what I'm saying. There is this Bio Ball advancing. Another few SCVs out of Maru. He's playing absolutely reckless, but sometimes when you're playing against a very controlled, calculated player, that is how to beat them. Smartly, herO didn't grab that same third right here. He did not retake it because Maru would have just torn through it. Very bright of him to choose an alternative position. These probes almost getting fed to the opposing Bio. Very smart of him to just quickly pull them back. But now it looks like this third is going to die again. He did not quite cancel it in time. I'm not sure what Maru is going to do, though. Is he going to commit to attacking? And now there are probes pulled. herO's saying, if you're going to do it, so too am I. A decent storm there, but it hits a couple of the Marauders. There is an Archon moving in. I like the spread of herO's forces, but Maru is advancing. He's using those Vikings to his advantage. I think the Colossi will get enough shots off in time. We will have to see. The Stalkers are falling very quickly. That missile turret being built probably to deal with the Colossi, and it looks like the forces of Maru are going to get to work on herO's third, but he is going to try to corner them. It will fall, and there will be that factory coming in out of Maru. So this is still a very close game because technically herO is not established that third as I said he had to, and thus has not closed out the game. This is anybody's game right now. And I think it is looking good for Maru because he was able to snipe the third again. If herO could have held on, he would have won the game no problem, but I'm not quite convinced he will be able to now. Both players on 2 bases, and it looks like Maru's a lot better off to grab a third if he feels like it, if he doesn't want to get too reckless. Knowing him, he's a controlled enough player to be smart enough and do it. But if he thinks he can win the game, he's not going to waste his time here trying to get a third when he could just close it out. We'll have to see what he does, but I think it's looking good for Maru right now because of how he's handled these engages. Now there are a couple Colossi there getting to work, no Vikings present, and it looks like that bio is going to suffer for it. The Archon being pushed forward by the Stalkers before even completing. That one Viking dies, so it's very multi-front battles we've been noticing. A lot of splits, a lot of charge lots being diverted by the Marauders, very excellently so by Maru, and just generally decent play out of both players, but neither able to establish a dominant advantage. herO wants this third, but if he loses this, he'll have lost 1,200 minerals to just trying to build bases. And the resources lost does favor Maru marginally, a couple thousand. That's nothing significant considering the magnitude of the overall resources lost, but still not bad at all. There is a stream of Bayou coming out of Maru, and he is moving his first CC, his original base, his main, to his third, which is fairly bright, doesn't need to waste the 400 minerals, still getting a third mining base around the same time as his opponent, if not even a bit earlier. The harvester count still favors herO, though. Maru is not really investing in SCVs. He is getting 2 now. He was not for a while. He kept throwing them at his opponent without any regard, but now he's doing as I said he should have done originally. He's bringing his forces into the main and raining them down on his opponent. This is a wonderful diversionary tactic, and if it can cripple any of the infrastructure of herO, this could be game-changing. A couple of the Marines falling there due to the Colossus shots, but now a good pickup out of Maru. He's going to move over to the third. There are Blink Stalkers there, but no Colossi, and I think Maru could split this engage. He's going to try to focus the Nexus. He will not be able to kill it. Promptly Stims tries to get out of there. One of the Marauders dying, and here is that multi-pronged engage I've been talking about happening yet again. Good storm there from herO. The Archon's moving in on the left-hand side, but near the third, which is a major front in this war, the Stalkers are holding their own. I like how this is turning out. I see why this was so upvoted. Excellent game so far. Very succinct strategies out of both players, all trying to close it out. And Maru's been on the offensive for so long, but herO's gotten him so close on so many occasions to just completely being out of the game, and yet he manages to stay in. There's a nice little transport of the soldiers using medevacs as Maru takes advantage of the heightened mobility of those units. Now here are the charge lots chasing after a Marauder and a handful of Marines. They are very disruptive. That is why I love them. They're able to throw opposing bio off balance, force the opponent to micro more than he normally would have. But herO on the whole is just pulling back. Maybe he wanted to free up supply. I doubt it, because he has a lot of room. But the factory is hovering over the main, scouting it out. Maru has absolutely no use for this factory, as a great deal of Terrans do not in this matchup. 1 second. And now Maru moving his bio fourth. My apologies for the constant water drinking. My throat's just been a little bit sore, kind of allergic right now. There is a small little exchange there, in addition to an observer following this pack of bio. But here's, because of the observer, herO sees it, and it's almost a race to his third. Again, just those multi-pronged engages. herO is not necessarily sure he could win this, and that's why he's so apprehensive. Here's another rain of bio in the main. Maru wants to split up herO so badly so he can swoop in and snipe that base. We'll see about some feedbacks or maybe some storms here out of the Templars. They will go with storms, even storming themselves as the single charge lot tries to run in there and cause some damage. Very nicely handled, however, out of herO. And there's another engage. He's trying to chase down this bio and is able to just fend them off yet again. Neither player wants to commit because they fear the outcome. Maru's not convinced he could win straight up against the emerging Protoss Death Ball, and herO is not necessarily convinced that he should commit to a single pocket of Terran forces, because that could divert him from a more important objective. So this is a very tactical battle that has been going on between these two players. I cannot necessarily say who will win. Obviously Maru's been on the offensive for the longest time, but herO does technically, well, he has 2 mining bases by this point, maybe even 1, because both other bases have been mined out, but so too does Maru, so it's not like he has a distinct economic advantage. Finally, the bio is coming towards the 3rd base here. Storms are decent from herO, but they're not necessarily sufficient. He has the photon overcharge, which is costly in terms of that mothership core energy, and the photon overcharge will cause the bio to retreat quite effectively. And these charge lots, I am telling you, are a game-changing factor in this match, because they are just so good at causing the opponent to pull back, to consider, okay, what do I need to do here? I don't want to necessarily fight these charge lots straight up. They do have 2 armor and 1 weapon. A medevac going down there, and possibly a second medevac almost full. It has 9 health. Will Maru be able to steal it yet again and let that medevac survive? We will have to check later, as now bio is being rained in the main base. Colossi are promptly dealing with them, but they are trying to cripple the infrastructure of herO. Will they be able to do it this time? herO's force is diverted. He's bringing what he has. Maru trying to gather a secondary force, but he does not quite have enough. There's the prompt liftoff from our yellow Terran player. He smartly drops the Marines out of that medevac. I think if herO sniped that medevac, that would have been game-changing. Would have been absolutely essential in terms of resources lost. A single medevac dies. I do not believe it had any troops in it, due to a nice feedback there from herO, but it was not full. And that medevac before that I'm now hovering over, which is over here, almost died to the photon overcharge, and had it, I think it would have been a big deal. Maybe not game-changing in terms of herO winning directly because of it, but that certainly would have assisted him, because that's instantly probably 700 or something of the sort minerals. And the resources lost still almost dead even, which is absolutely insane considering we are 29 minutes into this game. And Maru is retreating, as herO is quite confident he should be able to do this. He still has a little defending force consisting of a couple of charge lots and his mothership core, but I will have to see who is going to come out on top. I really have to check my tabs here, so it is Control A that we're looking at, and that is 106 to 97 in terms of army supply for the Protoss player, as our Terran tries to run in here and deal with the 3rd base. Will he be able to do it? He's focusing it down. If this goes down, the Hornet's Nest will have been kicked, and it has been kicked, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite analogies to make. herO now has to respond with deadly force. If he does not kill Maru on the back of that base being destroyed, he loses the game, hands down. I will tell you that right now. His Hornet's Nest has been kicked, and now if Maru can survive the sting of the ensuing Hornets, then herO will win the game. If Maru can survive, he will win. If he cannot survive, obviously herO will win. And now herO going all out, bringing everything he has, including probes. This could be an absolutely insane base race. We could have liftoffs into the corner of the map. It could be that close. The army supply is in the favor of Maru, but how will he control it? That much we will have to see, as he immediately brings his forces into the main of his opponent and gets to work. Don't forget, the Protoss is not necessarily able to lift off in the way that his opponent is, and he does not have enough minerals front of the base. That is what is key, so he cannot rebuild the Nexus. He just has to maybe build a pylon or 2, and that is about it. We could have a draw, worst case scenario, as our Terran is lifting off. He has enough minerals. He probably has some SCVs left. He does indeed have 27. The probes attacking here as well. That building was just destroyed there by this team of stalkers. I'm not sure who will win this fight, but whoever does will win the game. There will be an ensuing showdown. The army supplies are 2 in the favor of Maru, so I think he has to be extremely careful with how he deals with this. If he gets caught with one pocket of units away from the others, he could very well lose this, and he has to be extremely cautious with this. I'm actually almost sweating with how nervous I am here for herO. He needs to get these stalkers out of here. I know he's killing SCVs, so too does he, but he needs to get his stalkers out because the opposing forces are coming. He needs to get that army all in one place and build buildings and prepare himself for that showdown, because it will come, and it will come soon at that. herO has not built his base, rebuilt his base. Maru knows he can just fly into the corner of the map, and so we'll have to see what happens here. But I do know that herO absolutely needs to get his army all concentrated to try to face down Maru. He doesn't quite know whether or not he can win it, but he has to try his best.
herO, bring the Blink Stalkers. You cannot face this down with just this many forces. I promise you. He's trying to kill the buildings to the best of his ability, but that will not be enough in and of itself. Here are some of the medevacs lifting off, and they could just go hunt down buildings. So this could be very dangerous here for herO, because if his buildings get sniped before he's able to go there, that could very well be the game. And it looks like that's what Maru is absolutely set on, and I think he might be able to do it. What's left? We just have the two assimilators and the pylon, and I think they will die, and herO will lose this game. That would be absolutely insane. He needs to build something. He needs to build something. I don't know if he quite realizes it, but it looks like he will lose the game off the back of the assimilator. Does he have any more buildings? Yes, he does, somewhere. Where is that other building? He just put down a pylon in time. Ladies and gentlemen, he just put down a pylon in time, but it was destroyed. The pylon was sniped from the back of herO, and Maru takes the game. Oh my god. I apologize for the absolute destruction of my voice there, but I cannot believe that. Maru swoops in from behind and takes the game, destroying the pylon. herO just had to hide some building in the corner of the map where he could defend it. He probably could have won that engage, ladies and gentlemen. That was absolute insanity, and very well played by Maru. I cannot help but feel awful for herO. I would have been smashing on my keyboard after having seen those words. It was very bright of him to just put down the clutch pylon, but it is a pylon all the same, and it is warping in, very vulnerable to an attack. Well played by Maru. He certainly deserved that victory, and in the fashion that it was as well. That was insane. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. This was perhaps the best game I've casted so far since returning, and I hope you feel the same way of it. Feel free to comment and like and subscribe and give me any sort of feedback as always, and I will talk to you guys next time. Os77 out.